Yes. Gaurav, are we going to do the referral thing? I'll send the link anyway. You're on mute.
You're on mute, Gaurav. Hello, Gaurav. You're saying something?
Yeah, I was saying we will do the education session just after my introduction. There'll be a bit about LinkedIn and then the education session. And post the education session, we'll get into our business session.
Okay.
Loud and clear. Anupama, start!
Great out. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a warm welcome to this session of Gen Meeting, the Global Entrepreneurs Network meeting number 211, if I'm not mistaken. As usual, we start off with the gratitude session. But before that, let me wish you all who are celebrating and not celebrating Diwali a very, very happy Diwali. Hope and prayers for each one of you that you have wealth, health, and prosperity in your life and the year ahead. With this, let's start off with the gratitude session. What happens in the gratitude session is that we take about 15 to 30 seconds to offer our gratitude, offer our appreciation to any person, situation, challenge that you might have encountered in the last 1 week. What happens with this gratitude session is not only you feel good about thinking of a positive situation in your life, but also impacting each one of us sitting in this room with a positive vibe. So let's start on a positive note this session as of 2nd of November, 2024. Just another 2 months to go before we say goodbye 2024. So each one of us is actually in a mode of doing a lot more than expected. So let me start off with mine. This Saturday, I'm thankful to my family because we had such a great Diwali time for the past 1 week. I have been so busy, but they have been so supportive that I have been able to do my things that I'm supposed to do professionally. I'm able to do things that I'm able or should be doing socially, as well as having good family time. So thank you to my family. Over to you, Gaurav, for your gratitude offering.
Thank you, Anupama. I'm so grateful for a wonderful week that I had. My family and I went out and attended a whole lot of Diwali parties. We met with a lot of people. It was great fun. And I've been doing a bit of cycling. So lots to be grateful for. Thank you. Alithia.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys, and welcome all to Global Entrepreneur Network. This week, I'm so grateful to AI. I'm very grateful to ChatGPT, and I did a little training on what are the different AI tools. I could really create a PowerPoint presentation in 20 minutes, and it was a stellar, it was a best-selling one. And I'm really grateful to AI. I think it's truly said that only those people will become irrelevant, the ones who don't know how to use this tool. So I think so grateful to AI, really. Anupama, back to
Mr.
you.
Khalid?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm grateful that I went to a couple of events this week or last week and met some good people and had one-to-one meetings with a few of them. So that gave me good motivation, energy to do further things better.
Great. Thank you. Over to you, Anamika.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anamika, and I'm grateful for having this opportunity to speak with you all. It's a bit out of my comfort zone, considering we were partying till 2 a.m. this morning. But I'm so happy that I said yes to this, and it feels great to be here.
Thank you, dear. Mr. Suresh?
Yeah. So for me, this week in particular, I would want to thank Pradeep, a close friend of mine, who actually prompted me to start up a WhatsApp channel. I've been very shy on the social media side, but the least he said was the least you can do is go out to a WhatsApp and create a channel. And then I did that, and I have some 40 odd people following me. So I'm really grateful for that thing that happened. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Miss Leta?
Hi, happy Deepavali to all those people who are celebrating. This was a great week for me because I met all my family members. Four of my nieces who live abroad have come visiting family, so I got to meet them. One of them got hitched. Then I had lots of visitors home who came and celebrated in the Diwali festival. I'm grateful that we are able to celebrate and enjoy with family and friends.
Thank you. Miss Susie? Hello, hello.
Susie says she can't recognize her own voice in the morning, so she avoids speaking. Let's move on.
Okay, so let's move on to Mr. Samir.
Professor Samir from Kolkata.
Hi, hi everyone. Very happy Deepavali. In fact, I have also a kind of a group, what you have here, that's called IVRFF. I spent my entire last week probably, to talking my members and say them happy Deepavali, and who some people what is Deepavali and all this because of their in abroad. And that is the major thing I did because of I have 200 odd members. So everybody discuss, even I discuss with Gaurav also. Uh, thank you so very much. That I did last week, and that's the m- most important part of my work last week. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Abhishek? Abhishek, are you there?
Okay, I guess
Abhishek is
people
not.
who are not switching off on their videos may not be available. So let's cut this short. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Gaurav. So we have on video Mr. Dheeraj.
Hi, my name is Dheeraj. I'm a chartered accountant, and for the first time, I'm attending this meeting, and I'm excited to understand, what all is happening in the world. I'm a finance process expert, business process expert, and I contribute to the profitability of organizations.
Would you like to
Dheeraj,
share
you should,
something that you're
yeah.
grateful for?
Sorry?
Would you like to share something that you're grateful for?
I'm grateful to the community who have actually, given a lot in terms of knowledge, in terms of, the um upbringing, in terms of many things that, bring you up as a professional. So the whole community, keeps on giving you something or the other, and you keep on returning it. So this process, basically, I'm very grateful about.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mrs. Dheeraj. And as Gaurav said, none of the others are on video. So if you want to share your gratitude offering, please switch on your videos so I can call on you. If not, oh yeah, Mrs. Subbarao. Thank you. Here you go. You're on mute, Mr. Subba.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. I'm very grateful that my father, who was not well and had been hospitalized, is now much better and he's come back home. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. And happy
Thank you.
Diwali wishes to everyone. Thank
Happy Diwali to you too. Mr. Mohammed. You are on mute.
Okay. Nice to see you all. This is Muhammad Kashif Iqbal. My gratitude for the last week is that my visa for the Umrah, I got my visa for Umrah. I am going for the first time to Saudi for 10 days. So that was my achievement, and I'm thankful to God for all that. So that I'm visiting the place I have dreamt ever.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed, and do keep us in your prayers.
Yes. Also, happy Diwali to all of you. I actually, this time, first time in my life, I researched this topic. What is Diwali, na? So I also messaged in the group as well that Diwali means that it is a celebration of light. So how light remove the darkness? So we have to be a light in our life to remove darkness, to remove the negativities, pessimism of in the life. We have to be positive. We should be like a light for others to remove darkness from their life. So this is the message for me, from me to all of you on Diwali event.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Mohammed.
you.
Thank you very much.
Anupama, I will
Thank
need
you.
to take
Yes,
over
and
now.
I pass it on to you, Gaurav. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Happy Diwali once again, everyone. Before we move forward, I have posted something on the chat. If you can take a look, our friend Bharat Nangia in Hong Kong is not able to join us because he's celebrating his birthday. In fact, his birthday week. So that celebration starts today. He's requested me to post this where whatever you are grateful for, please go to our LinkedIn page and post it there. So it says, and I read, click the link, share what you are grateful for, a business connection made, an opportunity received, a lesson learned, support from fellow members, any win, big or small. So please do it while I start off with the introduction of our community here. Well, before we start, Diwali is the festival of lights. Thank you, Kashif Bhai, for doing some research. It has been going on for millennia, where it is symbolic of the victory of good over evil. Here it is pertinent to point out, and again, if all of us could do research, as human beings, no person is evil. And no person is 100% good. There's a bit of both. So when we are conscious, we should be aware that our actions are good or evil. No person per se is evil and no person per se is good. So this is something to ponder on. On that note, let's start the session. We are Global Entrepreneur Network. We are the gateway to global business. We have over 400 members who regularly join us for these meetings. We do this 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Dubai time every Saturday. We've impacted over 4,000 entrepreneurs in our journey so far. And from time to time, like Anamika, we have inspirational and knowledgeable speakers share their knowledge with us. The purpose is to connect entrepreneurs worldwide to enable business growth through exchange of referrals and collaboration to access global markets. Our vision is to have this community grow to 5,000 members in the next 2 years and 10,000 members in the next 5. Our mission is to help our community expand our global reach through online networking and collaborations. Our values: collaboration, knowledge sharing, sustainability, agility, and innovation. As you know, without innovation, we are moving backwards, not forwards. So all of us should maintain an innovation diary. What new innovation did you learn about, and what new innovation did you implement today? Try this out. Our meeting will flow this way. We've had a networking session to start off with. We had the gratitude session. This introduction will be followed by our education session by Anamika Vajpayee, and we will have a business session, which will be shorter, given that we have some important content being shared today. And we will close this meeting by 9:30 Dubai time. This is our team: Alifia, myself, Anil Thomas, our co-founders, Sabri Rajan, Anupama, Bharat, Chaitanya, our other leaders. In the past, we've been contributed by Dr. Rajamani, the late Laurent Grandisson, and Harihar Sharma. We are thankful for their contribution to us. We have a free-to-attend platform. However, we believe you need mentoring and you need support to go to the next level as an entrepreneur. So we have a program called the Gen Titans, for which you can get good mentoring, good profiling. You can share your business issues on the platform and benefit to learn rapidly and implement it in your business to grow and go to the next level. For more details, do connect with me. The price for this is $350 per year, which I believe is a very value-based price. On that note, I will now stop sharing. And Anamika, are you able to share?
I believe so.
Yeah, no, you are a co-host, or your sharing is... Yeah, very well. So this month happens to be referred to as Movember. So November, all of us know. Movember is an initiative that started in Australia many years ago. And this essentially highlights the importance of men's health. We talk about breast cancer awareness and so many other awareness, but men somehow take a backseat in terms of, say, prostate cancer or other kinds of cancer or mental health. And it is very pertinent that we have an expert who's worked with many people over almost a journey of 2 decades. She is a Dubai-based psychologist, has been in academia for many years, and I'm fortunate to call her a friend. She is Anamika Vajpayee, who will be talking about Men Don't Cry, reframing strength and vulnerability in men's mental health. Anamika, over to you.
Hi, am I audible?
You are Anamika. Please take it away.
Right, thank
Yes,
you. Thank you. Thank you for your kind introduction, Gaurav. It's a pleasure to talk about this topic because it often goes unrecognized, and there's a reason why I chose this topic to be called as Men Don't Cry, because the whole stereotyping around men's mental health is, if I don't know how many of you are Hindi speakers, but we often say "Mard ko dard nahi hota." Are, don't cry like a girl, yeah? Or come on, chin up, be a man. These are phrases that we hear growing up, putting us in a gender binary and stereotyping what we should or should not do while we are expressing ourselves, which becomes a key to mental well-being or the lack of it eventually. So that's what this presentation would be about. I've tried not to make it very academic. As Gaurav was saying, I've been in academia. I've been heading programs on psychology and mental health for over 14 years now. So I wanted to move away from that professorship and try to reach out to you in a very layman's language and actually open a dialogue about men's mental health. So I would really appreciate if I could have your participation in this presentation so that it's not just a monologue, but a dialogue where we are discussing how to actually take steps towards improving the mental health of men. So, why is this not moving? Just 1 minute.
So on this note, I think I want everyone to see if we can come online, show up, guys. So you've come in the morning. It's a brilliant. Congratulations for doing that. But seriously, let's come on video. If you were in a networking event, would you be behind would you connect on the phone or something from your car? Let's all show up. Come on. Whoever's available to come on video, it's brilliant. Welcome in. We see a lot of people.
Sorry
Let's
to
make it
interrupt,
interesting.
Anamika. Let's do a picture of whoever is here. Please switch on
Yeah,
your
let's do a
videos.
photo. Yeah. That's also a good idea. Let's everyone just show up. Let's take a nice picture. Let's get you on record that you're here. And then let's keep the videos on. Can we participate on this session, or are we just gonna? Okay, who's available for a picture? Let's have photos. Okay. Vijay, Dheeraj, thanks for coming. Yeah, okay, great. Abhishek, Pavi, Keshavan, Mohammed Umair, Prakash.
Please raise your hand if you don't know how to come on video, and I will support you. On the left, bottom left of your screen, there are two icons. One is audio and one is video. Please click on video so that the bar that you see is removed and we can see you.
Nadia, Prakash, Mohammed Umair, Keshavan, Pavi. We want to see you. Come on, guys. Come online. Understand Sebi, no worries. But Sebi is into transport, so it's going to be difficult for him. But for the others, Nadia, Prakash, Umair, yes, no, something, anything, with us, without us.
Okay,
Morning.
Alithia, we have a very serious topic. If people can't hear you, let it be. Take a picture. Let's move on.
All right, let's take a picture now. Whoever else is coming, going 3, 2, 1. All right, I got a nice picture for all of us. For the others, we still encourage you to come online. We're going to come on the video and we start now. Go ahead, Panamika.
Thank you. So I just put some influential voices up there, again, because there seems to be a lot of hesitance discussing mental health issues in general and specifically about men. So here are some people who we all know, I believe, talking about mental health and how important it is to talk and to listen about mental health issues in our society, especially in the corporate world. Sorry, this seems to be getting stuck for some reason. All right. Let me start by scaring you a little bit. So what are the statistics around men's mental health? They're up here for you, but you can see that there's a high number of men who are at risk of death by suicide. We also see only 29% of these men might be asking for help around their mental health, which is not a very good statistics, if you ask me, because it again kind of ties back to what we were saying earlier in the presentation, that taking help or asking for help becomes almost like a barrier for men when it comes to mental health. Almost 60% of men believed that admitting mental health issue is a sign of weakness. Now, at this point in time, I would like to request Gaurav to share the Padlet the link that I sent you, Gaurav, for Padlet. If you could share it again on the chat. And as I'm going forward with this discussion, I would like to have your views on it. So Padlet works like, think of it as a board where we can put our thoughts all together. You can be anonymous. Only request I had was if you could put your gender there. That was just to understand the perspective. So if you would
I'm sorry, Anamika.
Yeah.
You may have to do it. There is a technical issue. I can't copy and paste.
No problem. I'll do it in 1 minute.
Thank you.
My screen sharing would have been paused because I have changed the window to get the link for Padlet.
We see your screen already.
You do? Okay. just put this on the chat. 1 minute.
Yeah, we can now see it.
Anupama sent it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Anupama. So it would be great if you can put your thoughts there as I'm going ahead with my presentation. And in a bit, we'll visit this Padlet and see what you have to say. So coming back to the statistics, we also know that men in the age of 15 to 29 are at the highest risk of death by suicide. Now, I'm not saying this just to scare, but there seems to be heightened concern about mental health of younger men, young adults, so to say. Bear in mind, these are men who are just entering professional life. These are men who are maybe just starting a family. So they are at a very prime stage of their lives and careers. And for them to be at a heightened risk of something that serious should be a concern, and we should take some targeted steps towards it. Also, when it comes to substance misuse, men are almost twice as likely to develop disorders. When I say substance misuse, it can vary from smoking to alcohol consumption to other kinds of recreational drugs. And that might have its own impact on mental health of this person, as well as the mental health of this person's significant others, such as family, friends, professional forums, and so on. Men also seems to be having a higher rate of antisocial personality disorder. This is a personality disorder where one might see a distaste for authority, social isolation, inability to really connect with people around them, and so on. Depression and anxiety seems to have a higher incidence rate amongst women. But why I put it here was because it often goes undiagnosed in men, considering that men manifest the symptoms differently. So either they are very good at masking the symptoms, and for a very long period of time, they might not even show that they are facing an issue, or they might have, it might go undiagnosed because they are not talking to anybody about it. So whenever they are experiencing symptoms, they would just isolate themselves. And that again becomes a concern because that means that this person is not taking help. Another one is intermittent explosive disorder. This might manifest and exhibit itself in violent behaviors. So this usually happens when a male might experience sudden surge of aggression or feels like exhibiting violence either verbally or physically or even sexually. So this is known as intermittent explosive disorder, and again has a high incidence rate in men. Another concern is sexual dysfunction disorders. And I don't know how many of you would agree to me, but there seems to be an understanding that a male's identity seems to be structured quite a lot around their sexual functioning as well. So when it comes to any kind of dysfunctioning, such as erectile functioning disorder or any other kind of disorder in sexual performance, that might become a huge concern for men, especially aging men, where they begin to tie this to their own identity, and it might then convert into self-loathing, it might convert into anxiety around sexual behavior, it might convert sometimes even into aggressive behavior where they try to compensate the sexual dysfunctioning with aggressive patterns in their, intimate partner relationships. So that can be concern also. And many a times it is rooted in other kind of issues.
Slow down.
Please can we close our mics so that I can carry on with the presentation? So it might be a concern because it might be rooted in other kind of issues such as childhood traumas, aversive childhood experiences, adverse childhood experiences. It could be around incidents of sexual harassment, sometimes psychological manipulation growing up. So there might be a reason for this, why it is manifesting now. Another common one is post-traumatic stress disorder. This is a disorder which usually happens after a trauma incident or a stress event, where the person might experience, like almost relive or revisit that particular event again and again. And that reliving causes a lot of anxiety and stress to this person. Hence the name post-traumatic stress disorder. And men seems to be having a higher incidence rate for this disorder as well. Another one is narcissistic personality disorder, exhibited quite a lot at workplaces. There have been researches which show that men who actually might be heading organization, a lot of them might be suffering from narcissistic personality disorder. A combination of childhood adverse experiences and adult life experiences. It almost becomes a behavior pattern where a person becomes very, very self-centered and starts manipulating people around him to serve a purpose of their own at a cost of others, using others almost like a pawn in the game. While it might bring short-term gains and successes, in long term, this actually isolates the person who is suffering from narcissistic personality disorder because they lose trust and they begin to use manipulation to get what they want in other relationships. So there often develops a certain distaste towards them amongst their family, their work colleagues, friends, and so on. So that the men seems to be having a high incidence rate with that. And other than that, schizophrenia and other psychotic disorders also have a higher incidence rate in men. Again, the purpose of sharing this statistics is not to scare, but to put things in perspective, to say that it's not that men do not have mental health concerns. They do have, and therefore it becomes important for us to have an understanding of what is happening with men. While hormonal changes in women is pretty well known, and we talk pretty much openly about it now, whether it is premenstrual syndromes, whether it is, postnatal depression, any of these hormonal issues, menopausal issues are very well spoken of in today's time amongst women. But there seems to be hesitance when it comes to men. Like, for instance, during puberty, men might go through an increased testosterone level, which often results in their feeling of increased aggression, high volatility of mood. It can exhibit in increased sexual behaviors. And often it is just say like kind of covered or cornered by this, oh, they're coming of age. It's okay. They're becoming a man. Let's not think too much about it. That's what the problem is, because we are not even recognizing that they are going through something at a biological level. Now, this also causes changes in neurotransmitters. So you might see a young adult of 15, 16 years, 17 years, acting out of their usual personality patterns or behavior patterns, showing high irritability, showing distaste towards father figures or authority figures. Because the brain is going through a lot of development around this time. And while there is neuroplasticity, which allows a person to eventually adapt to the situation and learn how to behave, it can also cause certain restrictions in their ability to relate to people around them. So that's where they need adults in their life to understand and recognize that they're going through something, and if needed, seek help. Because think of brain chemistry almost like a chemical soup for men at this age, where they might be really finding it difficult to understand whether I'm a child now or an adult now. How am I supposed to behave with people around me? Sorry. What's my identity like? So do I take over the identity of other men in my life? Do I create my own identity? And throw in there heightened aggression and heightened sexual experiences or the need for them, it becomes really, really confusing for this young adult. Something similar happens again around midlife of a man, which is So now starting actually slightly earlier, around 45 years, but traditionally starting at 50, 55 years, which is in common language known as a midlife crisis. And around this time, opposite happens what happened in puberty. So testosterone levels actually reduce, they decline. And when they decline, again, there is a whole change or shift in the mood. Men might find themselves questioning their identity around this time, questioning whether they were successful in their life, whether they did what they set out to achieve, challenging their successes sometimes, reevaluating the relationships, sometimes intimate partner relationships. Is it working? Is it not working? Again, remember, when there are hormonal changes and neurotransmitter imbalances also occur. So a lot of men experience some slight depression-like symptoms sometimes. The sleep patterns change, eating patterns change, the body weight shifts, body muscle starts to deteriorate. And all this actually increases their stress response. So the things that earlier they might find easy to take, easy to cope with, might suddenly become more difficult to cope with. And therefore, heightened aggression, irritability, changes in the mood, volatility of the mood, right? And even cognitive changes. Like, for instance, a lot of men say, oh, I can't remember the names anymore. They begin to forget names or incidences or minor details. Though this is kind of natural at around 50, 55, one might see some slight cognitive changes, but sometimes it becomes a cause of concern. And if it is, then one should take help. And that's the whole point of doing this presentation, so that I can help you normalize these things and educate people around you and say it's all right. You know, if you are suffering from something like this, it's absolutely okay to take help. What are the barriers to mental health? Something that I started the presentation with, the societal expectation of masculinity. Again, coming back to men don't cry. It's not only about crying, it's mainly about restrictive expectations of expressing your emotions, expressing the issues that one might be facing, the barriers in communication. It also talks about stigma surrounding emotional expression. So men who are very expressive are considered feminine in our society. So a man who would cry easily, a man who would laugh easily, a man who would be more affectionate towards children, like physically affectionate, hug them, kiss them, nurture them. To some extent, the society begins to look at this person as having feminine traits. And that becomes like a demotivation for a person to carry on with it. So men traditionally are motivated to behave in a certain way, like, do not be too expressive, be restrictive about your emotions, do not, love openly, do not show gratitude and love towards your family members. So a man who might be very affectionate at workplace, for instance, he'd be hugging and side hugging his colleagues and patting their backs and encouraging them, might shift when they come in their father's role and might become a bit more static towards their children, showing restricted emotions, kind of following a mental framework or a mindset saying that bachcho ko bigarna nahi chahiye, you should. Sorry, Gaurav, are you raising your hand?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Anamika. This session is going so well, though we don't see all our participants. I have a proposal. Alithia, give your opinion as well. How about doing this longer? Because this is a topic that concerns all of us. We'll let go of the business session. So you can continue, say, till 9:15, and then we'll have a Q&A.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you, Anamika?
That's fine with me.
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with us. If you have any questions, please raise your digital hand and you can ask, interrupt Anamika as well, because this concerns all of us and our families and our whole, lives. So that's the reason we are putting this together. This is a sensitive topic, but a lot of us don't talk about it, or this is probably a blind spot even for a lot of us. So, Anamika, please continue.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
the chat, just adding to it. If anyone have any thought-provoking anything, just feel free to ping in the chat as well.
And even raise your hand and speak up, because as I said earlier on, that I want this to be a dialogue. And after this, actually, I'm going to open up the Padlet and we'll have a bit of a talk about it. But at any point of time, if you disagree with me, even, please feel free to raise your hand and talk about it. That's really, really important. Thank you. So I was talking about stigma surrounding emotional expression. So there's something on the chat.
It's just a courtesy hello.
Sorry. Because I'm keeping this minimized, so I don't get to see it. Yeah, then there is pressure to appear strong and invulnerable, almost indestructible for men. The pressure that you should be the strong one. Again, coming back to gender binary, there's a lot of son preference in our society still. I'm talking mainly about South Asian societies, but even in Middle Eastern societies or Western societies, a certain sense of son preference is seen. So while a male child is well celebrated and appreciated in the families, it comes with its own baggage. And the baggage is that you should always be the strong one. You should be the bread earner for the family. You should always provide for your family, right? Now, while this is a very positive thing for a man or a woman, sometimes this might convert into a sense of pressure where you have to always keep this facade on that everything is okay with me because I'm supposed to be the strong one here, right? And that itself becomes a barrier for men to take help when they are suffering from mental health issues. So reluctance to seek help is kind of tied to that. And add to that limited emotional support networks. Yesterday, I was talking to a friend, a male friend, trying to get his perspective on this. And he pointed out towards a very important thing. He said, see, women have these support groups, they have their friends, they would go, they will meet, they will cry together. A woman who is suppose going through a divorce will always have a gang of girlfriends around and trying to support and say, hey, it's okay. And they do things about it, they would even put it out on the social media. And so there's a lot of expression around it. I'm not justifying it. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. It's just there. There's a lot of support around it. Does it happen with men? Perhaps not. A lot of time, even when men do meet up for their brotherhood, as my friend called it, it is mostly talking about movies, sports, some, trivial thing, girls, talking about fun stuff, basically. That space is not actually used as an emotional support network. While it can be, but for most of the time, it is seen that men find it very difficult, even with their closest of friends, to open up and share and, show that emotional side. And that again becomes a barrier in taking help, because now you can't talk to your family because you're supposed to be this strong man who is supposed to be taking care of everybody. You can't talk to your friend because you don't want to come across as a sissy or a, feminine. And you obviously are not going and taking professional help. So it's not a very good situation, right? Another very important barrier is also a challenge, I would say, is workplace stress. Just by the show of hand, tell me how many of you think one of the major reasons behind mental health issue in both men and women actually is nowadays workplace related stress?
Attached to workplace is financial stress.
100%. Yeah, well said. Right? So I can see a lot of people giving me a thumbs up or raising hands. So it seems to be a sore point for most of us where we do understand it's really important for us to work, but we oftentimes do not appreciate the need to find a way to manage the stress. While a lot of us nowadays go to gym and are taking a lot of care of our physical health, and there's a lot of talk about 30 minutes for 30 days in Dubai, why aren't we talking similarly about mental health? Why is it a lesser concern? That's my question. One of the reasons could be because it's not obvious, Mental health is something that could be masked for a very long period of time. So, a lot of people who are going through workplace stress might be producing, I'm talking about biological causes of it, producing so much cortisol on a daily level. Cortisol is a stress hormone that they might develop a lot of illnesses such as blood pressure, diabetes, insomnia, or sleeping disorders, eating disorders, comfort eating when they are facing a lot of stress. And unfortunately, what happens, they are taking care only of the physical symptoms of the mental issue. So they would be treating themselves for their diabetes or hypertension or sleep disorder, while not really recognizing that the core cause of it is mental health issue or the workplace stress that they're facing on a daily basis. Will anybody like to open up their mic and say something about it?
Yeah, it's Suresh here. So
Yes.
one of the challenge I just texted was actually mental health is not broken down to the lowest common denominator. So there is so much of ambiguity. See, the human challenge is human beings, according to my experience, there are only two problems: to deal with the known and deal with the unknown. Okay, nothing about it. There is a very deeper level pay understanding. But we are easy, continuing things, the routine things because it is compulsive behavior. And to deal with the unknown, when I don't know unknown, and when people around me are not knowing themselves, uh, you understand, how do we discuss it? So, which is where? So the only thing is that adults needs, in fact, in my little experience that I am coaching people, what I done is I have actually prepared a vocabulary for adults. The ABCD that we learned in our kindergarten is redundant for a young adult or a middle-aged person or an adult person. They need different vocabulary to live their life. And because they don't know these, see, क्या है हम सुनते हैं, we hear a lot of words, but those words का in-depth meaning नहीं समझने की वजह से we don't do it. We just so we think because a word fell into my ears, I know it.
So we don't have the emotional vocabulary either, or the vocabulary.
We don't. So many times we have heard it, but we seldom understand it. And understanding is very deep. You will understand your subject matter. So in my notes that I have written, I have actually prepared, at least for young adults, I have prepared around A to Z ka 4 words on every alphabet.
Lovely. Lovely. This is a
Because
Do share it with us, Surajji.
I will tell you 20 years back when I was doing an entrepreneurial program, that was the first time I heard the word paradigm. Today I'm pronouncing it paradigm, but then when I heard it for the first time, I am talking of paradigm and whatnot. I still laugh at that. And then I realized, and I listen to news readers. They have to impromptu speak of a Russian name or a European name with a language which we are unused to. And I just wonder how they have to impromptu, because it's a live event that is happening, and suddenly they have to pronounce a president's name or otherwise, which they have to do it. Ordinary people, because vocabulary is not there, and vocabulary like you and me today can speak fluent English, it's okay because we have learned the basics of English. But if I have to speak like Shashi Tharoor's, if I have to speak like Shashi Tharoor's English, sorry?
I'm saying even though we have English language proficiency, many times when the client comes to me, they say, "Kuch अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. I'm not feeling very well." And
exactly. So
breaking it down becomes a challenge.
Yes, and I find breaking down to the lowest, make it as simple. For me, the practical example is look at how dumb person can use WhatsApp. You see even people with hardly any income, farmers or poor people who otherwise intellectual people will ignore them. They are you able to use a WhatsApp or a Facebook or social media. Going down that level. Unfortunately, mental health is so complex. We feel it is only in the rich home, the middle class home. Ordinary people है, गरीब लोगों को mental health का issue नहीं है.
Absolutely, which is not true.
Which is not true. Absolutely. Exactly. Yeah. And that's where I think vocabulary is one thing. Vocabulary happens for everything, but I just took it as a very interesting point because as a practicing person, it becomes easy for you to make it. Uh, uh, so we will discuss about it
Thank
offline.
you. This is a
We
really
are,
good insight.
yeah.
Yes, Gaurav.
I want to share a metaphor. You see, like unless we have a cough, cold, fever, we don't go and see a doctor. Or
Correct.
mostly we do self-healing only. Pop
Yeah.
a pill here,
Mm.
do some whatever kala
Yeah.
fixing.
Right.
Similarly, for mental health, people almost treat it as a taboo.
Mm.
And either they are not aware of it or they just consciously keep it hidden because they will be branded Khiskela or Pagal or whatever. Like, so that well-being awareness needs to be developed. And like Suresh gave the example of WhatsApp, I always say what we practice, we get good at. So if we practice observing ourselves, talking to people about complex topics that we can't fathom, we are likely to get a solution. Otherwise, it is brushed under the carpet and it'll stink sooner or later.
And
And
mostly our mind would say it is not meant for me because I don't know it. It is too high an intellectual matter. So make it as simple so that people engage.
I would like to add here, Anamika,
yes,
that
please.
when men have mental stress and issues, it actually, has a bad repercussion on the family, especially the wife
Absolutely.
and children who have to bear with this person, because this person does not realize he's got his mental issues, and he throws a fit, tantrums, because they are the loved ones. They have to put up with this thing, and they are so scared to even tell the male in the breadwinner of the family that, listen, you need to take some help. You need to talk to somebody about it. You need to go and get therapy for this, so that we can have a better life and a better family. The wife suffers the most, because sometimes the children are away at school, college, work, wherever, but it's the closest person who takes this brunt of this mental issue is the wife, and that is the saddest part, because she cannot even voice this with anybody else.
No, 100%. And another issue, one other aspect of mental health that Lata talked about, the intimate partner relationships change when a man is going through mental health issue. So it might either exhibit in terms of a lot of sexual aggression with the partner, the wife, or it might also exhibit as distance, a complete abstinence from the intimate relationships. And it often leaves the wife very confused that what's happening? Why aren't we connecting anymore? And she begins to blame herself that I must be doing something wrong or something is not okay with me. Maybe that's why it's happening. Now, it can also be vice versa. A lot of time, men go through mental health issues because their spouse is behaving like that. So think of a middle-aged couple where a wife might be going through menopause, for instance. So she's having hot flushes, she's having irritability, she's having short temper, she's blaming the husband all the time, and suddenly the husband begins to feel key, what's happening? She's changing. Is it with me? Is there something wrong with me? Right? And if there's also volatility around professional life, like this man is not stable professionally, it really puts this person in a very difficult spot where he begins to blame himself for everything. And that becomes like a family's coping mechanism. Blame this person, right? So even children begin to blame the father. Siblings might begin to blame the person. Parents might even begin to blame this person. So it becomes a very sticky situation. Now remember, when we say family, it's always a system. So whenever something is happening with any member in the family, it is actually impacting everybody else in the family in multiple ways. So it's not only psychological, as Lata rightly said, it could be financial, it could be emotional, it could be societal even. What Gaurav was saying, that pagal hai kya karke, like how people would start labeling this person. People would start avoiding people with mental health issues in our society. They would stop going to their houses because, or they would go for entertainment purposes. There are patients of mine who would come and tell me that sometimes people come just to see how I have become after I got this mental illness. So they become like a topic of discussion in parties and social forums. And that is where the stigma is generated. So a person who might be suffering from a mental health issue is listening to this at workplace or in family or in societal forums, is thinking, Arey, if I would come out with this and I would also be labeled like that, so better keep quiet about it. So we are disabling the person's opportunity to take help as well. So thank you, those were such important topics that we raised. And again, as I kept saying, that this is the point. So you actually already spoke about what I wanted to touch base on: hidden impacts on consequences of unaddressed mental health issues. Of course, there's a familial impact, which we talked about. Another impact is a loss of identity, the identity that the person has created around being a physically and mentally healthy person. Now that they're living with a mental health concern, when I say mental health concern, I'm not only talking about serious mental health issues. It could be minor anxiety, minor depression. It could be just a loss of sense of identity. But even those minor issues can feed into the self-perception that we have, right? Who am I now? And unfortunately, if I tell somebody, hey, listen, you're having a bit of fever, they'll be like, yeah, let me go take a Panadol and let me take rest. And they will recognize it, right? And people around them will show a lot of care and concern that, oh, you take rest, you take it easy. Flip it to a mental health concern and a person says, I'm feeling a bit depressed. Immediately people are like, oh, snap out of it. They don't even want to recognize that this is an issue, right? So they just want the person to wish it away. You can't wish it away, just like you can't wish away a fever. It is as real, for a person who's living with it. So then higher emergency room visits for mental health crisis in men. Why? Because they keep ignoring. It's happening. Okay, a bit of depression, ignore it. A bit of anxiety, ignore it. Live with it. Get used to it. You will eventually learn to live with it. And then what happens? A sudden meltdown happens. Just one fine day, this person becomes completely disoriented. They begin to lose a sense of self, right? They're disconnected with what's happening around them. And that's when the family is taking them, and, it becomes a huge community crisis that, he's having a meltdown and he's now taken to a psychiatric hospital and so on and so forth. Rest is even more complex. This is easily avoidable, right? Just take help for yourself and for your family members and for your friends and known others as soon as you see some symptoms. And just like you do with physical illnesses, just curb it at the start, do something about it then. Increased risk of substance misuse is also a known impact of mental health issues. Alcohol dependency and smoking are two most common ones. But it can, when we talk about substance, it could be actually anything. I know of students in medical schools who would actually consume cough syrups, who would consume pain relieving ointments as alternate to not getting access to cigarettes or alcohol. So substance misuse can happen in many, many different forms. Connection to violent incidents has been seen. A sudden outburst at workplaces is very commonly seen. A person who's going through workplace stress keeps it inside, and one day this person just implodes. Sometimes even over a seemingly minor issue, but there might be a lot of reaction. Same thing can happen at home, because they're taking so much. One fine day, they might just have a violent exhibit of that, and something that we can avoid. Economic impact: 1 trillion lost annually globally minimum. This is just the reported cases. Remember what we said, 29% men are reporting mental health issues, only 29%. So this figure might be way more. But for now, 1 trillion lost annually due to productivity loss because of mental health concerns. Chronic health complications, because what we forget is mind and body is connected. If your mind is not healthy, your body cannot be healthy. All the research on stress shows that it will have a direct impact on your gut. It will cause digestive issues. It will cause acid refluxes. It will cause, belly fat, because you're not resolving the stress at its core, and likewise with other mental health issues. So depression or schizophrenia or any other. What are the triggers? Sometimes becoming a father is a trigger. Now you might be saying, but that's the most beautiful moment in a man's life. Mostly it is, not necessarily. Just because a woman wants to have a child doesn't mean a man is ready to have a child, right? Men process fatherhood in a very different way. For them, it's also financial liability. It's also a social responsibility. It's also a commitment for the lifetime. Not all men are ready to be fathers. Why can't we accept that as society? Why we have to blame them for not being ready? It's okay. Just like a woman has reproductive rights and can take a call on whether she wants to become a mother or not, why can't a man be given the same right and privilege? Another very big trigger is a job loss, right? Because whole social identity of a male is created around their professional identity. What is the first thing a man says when you meet with them? I'm a CA, I'm a doctor, right? Now we see a lot of women also doing the same thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but what I'm saying is it just puts on that added pressure. If a man is in between the jobs or is transitioning to something else, it becomes so challenging for them to introduce themselves in society. The minute they say I'm in between the jobs, the people walk away. They go on to the next person because it's a networking event for them, right? So that why can't a man introduce himself as a father, a friend, a husband, or anything else that they want to? What's the problem with that, right? Another trigger is death of a loved one, which obviously is trigger for anybody. But for men, again, sometimes difficult to process. Men don't cry, kicks in. I recently, a close friend of mine lost his father, and I was talking to his wife, and she was saying that he has not even cried properly. He's not even let out those emotions yet, right? In its own due time, respecting his boundaries, but this person needs to process grief. Maybe he just doesn't have tools, what Mr. Nair was saying earlier. Maybe he just doesn't have vocabulary. Sorry, just 1 minute. Just. So I'll just tell my gardener to start. So sorry about that. Moving on. For some reason, it is refusing to go on a full screen. Why? Yeah, okay. Sorry. So I was talking about death of a loved one. Chronic illnesses is another one, which is a big concern, especially life-threatening illnesses, cancer diagnosis or any other heart diseases, very common in men, unfortunately, but it can really cause a lot of mental health trauma, right? And again, it goes unaddressed because we are concentrating mostly on physical aspect of the health. Social isolation or childhood traumas can be interrelated. This often talks about adverse childhood experiences in a man. Very few men actually report physical abuse because they normalize it. It's okay. Maar to sab ladko ko padti hai. All men get beaten up. So why talk about it? And because we normalize it, we never talk about it as an issue, but it is an issue because there was violence happening to this person, which was not very conducive to his mental health. Similarly, very few men actually report sexual abuse. There are two reasons for it. One reason is many a times sexual abuse is happening from a male to the child. The pedophile in the case is mostly a man, mostly, not always. It could be a woman also. And the child is confused about their sexual identity. They're also confused about the repercussions of it. If I go and report that my uncle is sexually molesting me as a male, I might be considered to be a homosexual. And that's a big fear in our society, right? So those kind of adverse childhood experiences can have major impact on mental health of the person as he grows up, because none of this was ever addressed or processed or taken care of, right? And so a lot of these boys grow up actually blaming authority figures, develop very unhealthy relationship around authority figures, might get confused about their own sexual identity, might have similar behavioral patterns repeated in their intimate partner relationships, because that's how they've experienced it, right? So the violence they experienced as a child, they begin to repeat it in adult relationships. So that's something that we really need to be open up as a society now, especially with our children, young adults around us, giving them that space and actually holding that space for them so that they can talk about these adverse childhood experiences and being their support system, when they are going through this, being by their side and helping them understand it's okay to talk about it and it's okay to take help about it. Substance misuse has been talked about quite a lot, so I won't touch more on that. But spiritual conflicts is another thing which is seen quite often, especially in older men, older adults. What I mean by spiritual conflict is a state where a person is exploring the spirituality, not only in context of religion, but otherwise. Who am I? What's the purpose of this life? What am I aiming for? What's going to become of me eventually? Those life questions that one would ask themselves, not getting an answer for, can also sometimes serve as a trigger because people begin to experiment with their mental health. While meditation is a great thing, I have come across several cases where meditation can go seriously wrong, right? It can even convert into a psychotic episode because people are just they're sleepless and they're hungry and they're fasting and they're in this extreme state of meditation for a very long period of time. It can trigger mental health issues. So spiritual conflicts is also one thing that we need to be a bit wary of. Okay. So I'm going to talk about positive strategies here. What kind of mental health life hacks we can use? One is adventure therapy, because men mostly like outdoors. Why not use it for mental health as well? Because somebody was saying before that, no, not on this forum. This was yesterday, talking again to another friend of mine who was talking to me, and he said, whenever I'm feeling stressed, I go to the gym. And when I'm working out, it helps me release that stress. I just suddenly start talking to myself and pumping up myself with positive thoughts. I can get through this. It's not a big issue. And by the time I finish my workout, I'm actually feeling, really healthy. Another interesting research I read a couple of days back was forest bathing. Forest bathing is basically going to a forested area, natural area, and actually dipping into a river or a pool, even a pool surrounded by greenery, seems to be having some very positive mental health impact. Cycling in the nature, any other kind of adventure that a person might enjoy, actually releases a lot of positive hormones, which allows a person to deal reasonably well with mental health issues. Another important thing that I think we should do is peer support circles. This is basically a community which is talking about mental health issues. Could be diverse community, both genders, or it could be a men-only community, doesn't really matter. It could be as simple as collecting 6 chairs at the end of a workday and just having a heart-to-heart session, for 15 minutes. It doesn't need to be very complicated or very extremely well organized, but peer support circles are great because, it just gives a release to the day stress. Creative expression workshops. I do a lot of work around having these kind of retreats where a group of men would collect together. They would do some hands-on activity like sculpting or painting, something that they would never do. The whole idea behind this is sometimes this kind of creative expression allows a way to release even subconscious issues, right? In psychology, we do a lot of analysis of drawings and paintings because it's one way to look into the subconscious of a person. So something similar to that could be done at home, could be done as a collective. Mindfulness and nature immersion. I already talked to you about nature immersion, but mindfulness, living in gratitude, being more self-aware, keeping a journal. I don't know of many men who do that, but keeping a journal, even on your phone notes, where you are basically scripting and transcribing what's going on in a day, just takes maybe a couple of minutes, 4-5 minutes. But at the end of the day, just jotting down what went wrong or what went well. Starting your day with a gratitude, something similar to what your meet did, very, very powerful, actually. Self-affirmations, saying good things to yourself, practicing gratitude. And then if I were to say, for more serious concerns, therapies such as cognitive behavior therapy, hypnotherapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, there are lots of psychoanalytic psychotherapy. There are a lot of psychotherapies which we can use for elevating the mental health issues and for actually providing support to the person. Whenever going for therapy, set realistic goals. A lot of men clients, especially when they come, because men are very used to sometimes getting quick solutions. So I get a lot of male clients coming to me and say, ma'am, 1-2 session mein khatam ho jayega. Because they honestly sometimes just don't have time, or they are just so they just want a quick fix. Not possible all the time. It is a process. You have to be with the process. It's an investment towards your own mental health. Just like you're spending money, going to a restaurant, buying yourself that nice shirt, or going to the gym. This is also an investment towards your own self. So take it like that. Set realistic goals. Give your mental health professional time to work with you for you to see some concrete results. So do's, we already talked about. I would talk about one more thing, sorry. Practice emotional vulnerability. A lot of times when I'm doing psychodrama or I'm working with corporates for emotional well-being sessions, we do this emotional vulnerability session where a man is supposed to talk about an emotionally vulnerable moment. Now, oh my God, that's so difficult for a man. You should see their faces. They don't want to recognize that they are ever emotionally vulnerable, right? So practicing that. And don'ts, I'll be quick because I know I'm almost at end of my session. Don't dismiss your feelings. Please accept your feelings. Please maintain that journal. Do not isolate when you're going through stuff. Please be available for people around you. If you see somebody withdrawing, a simple question, are you okay? And spending time to actually listen to their answer is a great start, right? So don't isolate and don't let isolate. It's a key, right? We talked about suicide prevention earlier. It's a key, right? Don't ignore warning signs. So if you see somebody changing their behavior patterns, sleeping patterns, eating patterns, social behavior, get to know what's happening, right? Don't rely solely on coping mechanisms. So gymming is great, but that's not the answer to every mental health issue. Neither is smoking, neither is social drinking, neither is gambling. So don't rely on these coping mechanisms too much because it can actually become an addiction instead of a help. And now you have 2 issues to deal with, right? Don't fear seeking help. It's all right to pick up a phone and call a mental health professional and fix an appointment and go and see them, just like you do with your doctors for physical health. Don't adapt negative coping mechanisms, as I was saying earlier. Do not judge. पागल होना पाप नहीं है. So even if somebody calls you pagal, that's okay. As far as your mental health is stitched, So focus on yourself, focus on your well-being. And as far as possible, please educate people around you not to judge. And do not hide from your significant others. If you're going through something, please make yourself available. Let others know that you need help. And that will be all for me today. Sorry, I extended the time a little bit.
No, thank you. Thank you so much, Anamika. This is very pertinent, very relevant. I'm sure our members and others, visitors even found this useful and will try and implement some of this in their own lives. And I will share, or if you are comfortable, you can share on the WhatsApp group and even in the chat about your details should anyone want to get in touch with you and seek consulting or professional support from you. Thank you
I'll do
once
that.
again, Anamika.
I'm sorry, I'm just putting a poll over there for people who would
Right.
like to answer it. And yes, you can carry on. Carry on, Gaurav.
Yeah. So here we still have, say, 8-9 minutes. Alithia will coordinate a Q&A. I am on a mission to drop my wife to her workplace. So I will join from the car, but Alithia will coordinate a Q&A. If you want to share something or ask a question, please raise your digital hand. This is, if you go to React, in your panel at the bottom, you can raise your digital hand that way. Ashish is joining us from Nigeria, right, Ashish? Please go ahead.
Ashish, you can unmute yourself.
Ashish, please unmute yourself and go ahead. You can even switch on your video if you like. Okay, Ashish is having some issues. Lata, you go ahead.
You can
Yeah.
type.
Hi. Is
You can type.
Ashish speaking, or shall I go ahead?
You go ahead, Lata.
Okay, thank you very much. That was a wonderful session. I wish more and more men came in and heard this session because they are the ones who need to, actually listen to this. But I had one question. I know it was a beautiful way of, first of all, recognizing that you have some kind of a mental, anxiety or depression. The acceptance part is the hardest to get. And then seeking help after you realize that you need help. And that is also very touchy, especially, I don't know about the other countries, but in India, it is a taboo to, go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist and then speak about what you're going through. I just wanted to know, Anamika, being I heard that you are in Dubai, how can you reach out to people here in India?
Sorry, I'm just responding to Ashish saying that he can type his question. So can any of you who would want to type your questions, please do. So Lata, I do a lot of virtual counseling because so this happened during COVID times when I was working with UAE government's helpline as a mental health professional. And because of COVID, there was restriction about people coming to the clinics. And I was always very aversive about virtual counseling because I felt that the way you can connect in a one-to-one session is unique, and you cannot replace the body language and other aspects of communication with virtual. But I was pleasantly surprised to see that it's quite effective, actually, because it's more cost effective. If I were to take a client in the clinic, it would be way more in terms of fee vis-a-vis virtual counseling. And secondly, it is more easily accessible. So you could be like you're sitting at home, right? You could actually just log in and do a mental health counseling session right now. Wherein, if you were to go to a clinic, you have to take an appointment, get ready, get in your car. Like there's a whole process. So it's more time effective, it's more cost effective, and in certain ways, more confidential as well. Because a lot of people do not want to be seen in mental health clinics. again, the taboo kicks in, the stigma kicks in. So they rather do it in their own private space. I have clients attending sessions from their car, because they can't do it from their home. They don't want to do it from their workplace, but they're okay logging in through a car. And over the period of time, I found it's as effective. So if any of you want to reach out to me, I put in my email address. I'm also on the WhatsApp group, I think. So you can also reach out to me via WhatsApp, and I'll be happy to arrange a session.
Thank you, Anamika.
Anytime.
I'll just quickly tell everyone, please do fill your introduction on the link that we have sent. Usually, as a part of our Global Entrepreneur Network, we have an intro link from which your contacts, your emails, and everything is taken, and we summarize it into a sheet, which is then shared in the WhatsApp group. So once you put all your contacts and everything, we'll also have Anamika's contact and everything on it, and you can reach out to each other if you want to contact each other. So since we've not done the business introduction section today, do fill your introduction on the link so that everyone's coordinates are on the link and it can be easily shared with each other. So you can have everyone's contact database. Okay, so do that quickly and make sure you're in our WhatsApp group, because this sheet will only be shared on our WhatsApp group. So you've got to be in the WhatsApp group. The only way you can join our Global Entrepreneur Network WhatsApp group is by attending a meeting, any one meeting that you need to attend. So if you're a new member, which you are, I think I see a few new names here. So if you're not in the WhatsApp group, you will have to attend another meeting to join the WhatsApp group. So the WhatsApp group links are only shared in live during attending a live session. So I've sent the big long message. So make sure you're in the WhatsApp group and fill your introduction so we get your coordinates. All right. And now what we can do is let's have what affected you the most? What was your biggest diamond? What was your biggest takeaway from that session that Anamika shared? So feel free to use the chat, but let's hear you, So let's speak up and let's see what was one thing that touched you the most, or one thing that you completely don't agree could also be, yeah? So we can have one thing that really impacted you the most. So heads up and everyone can raise hand and speak, or just unmute yourself, speak up. It's an open forum. We have like literally 4 minutes to officially close, though we can keep the room open for another 10 minutes after. But officially...
I may ask if people are all right, please do post these messages on the Padlet. Sometimes I use this also during other presentations because, it becomes more authentic because it's coming from you guys who have, experienced this. So please, I would be very grateful if you could also populate your thoughts on the Padlet, even after the session, it would be on.
So put the Padlet link one more time, and I'll make it
Sure.
Because not always can we copy.
Namika, you can share the Padlet link on the WhatsApp group as well.
Okay, I'll do that. For now, I'm putting it on.
And again,
Yeah.
some comments that you put in the chat, because I saw a lot of people put messages on the chat. You can populate them on the Padlet as well.
Hi, may I ask a question here?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Just a quick one. Anamika, I just want to understand how to convince our loved ones who we feel that they need a mental help. How to convince them to see a counselor? It's a simple question, but how to go about? I find it quite difficult to convince someone to go and see a counselor, especially men. How to go about? Thank you.
No, it's a very, very major barrier in seeking mental health. So thank you for addressing that. One way for them could be virtual counseling session. So instead of forcing them to actually go and meet with a mental health professional face-to-face, request them to just join a link, support them, have a conversation with them, let them know it's normal, let them know it's okay. It's something similar, akin to perhaps going and seeing a doctor for your foot pain, for your headache, or for your fever. So normalizing seeking mental help is a way. Also recognize that this resistance to taking help could be part of the symptom of mental health. In many mental illnesses, the person is actually aversive to taking help, especially like in depression, because it's part of the symptomology. So in such cases, you might have to actually gently coax a person, offer them assistance like, okay, I'll come with you, come with me, we'll go together. Okay, you don't want to go anywhere, don't worry, let's have a virtual session. A teleconsultancy, a lot of psychiatrists and psychologists nowadays are providing teleconsultation, so they can literally just talk to somebody. So it's just a matter of them going to the right professional for the first time. Once that barrier is challenged, then it becomes more easy.
Yeah, let's hear from Prakash. Yes, speak up, Prakash. You are muted already. Prakash, can you speak? Okay, let's have Suresh.
Yeah, Anamika, I had one question actually as I was listening to your interesting suggestions of the do's actually, forest, gyms, sports, games, and other things. I was wondering, one thing that common amongst all of that I was looking is there is high level of reasoning that is actually happening in these events. And I was just wondering if that could be the reason that actually is a solution.
So one of the most common defense mechanisms that men use is intellectualization. Whenever they are facing a mental health crisis, they try to intellectualize it and in a way hide behind that intellectualization. Even denial happens. I'm fine, nothing
Okay.
is wrong with me. So in such sessions, it would be more effective to have a moderator who has a background in
Correct.
mental health. It could be virtual or face-to-face session, doesn't really matter. But having a moderator who could also sometimes act as a TOT, training of trainers kind of format, where you can. So when we do the group work, we also try to develop the indigenous leadership within the group. So have these group members eventually take over the roles of the mentors because they have been in the session with a mental health moderator. So then they get trained and then they can carry on. In fact, everybody in that group can eventually become a moderator and then they can start their own small groups. And that's how we
In
go
fact,
about the awareness. Yeah, sorry.
the common thing that I could see among sports, gym, and other thing, there was no ego at play.
And
Getting
it's a
into a
solo
forest.
activity. It's a
Sorry?
solo activity. You're doing it all by yourself. So
Exactly.
you get more attention.
Exactly. That is, yeah, that's what I observed. There is no ego. So when there is less of ego, reasoning goes high, within an individual, and he sees reason of. I think that was the clarification I wanted to check with you. Yeah.
No, you are right. See, you are already intellectualizing, Suresh.
So let me ask
I
this.
don't know.
How many men are in alignment? How many men agree that this happens? Or how many of us men here right now are in denial that this is bullshit, there's no such thing? And we can be open.
No, I agree completely to on the point that she spoke about, and that is where my questions are coming from the same place because I meet people from diverse, from SMEs to corporate CEOs, and that's where my questions were coming because I see people in high places, and maybe today's conversation actually gave me reasons to see of things that I don't know, especially when she was talking of body chemistry changing, and that being the trigger. So when she explained the trigger, now I can understand it a bit deeply. I think that was a good insight.
I
Thank you,
think
sir.
awareness is always the first step, right? So that's the step one. The
I
first
think
step.
Here, I want to add something that you might not be aware of. You see, both in men and women, after 50, men become more like women and women become more like men. So men find that their voices become softer and feebler, or women find hair growth and their voice becoming more like men. So this is common, but people don't know and understand that this is physiology at play. What goes up comes down.
But honestly, this has been such a refreshing session. I've always had like women minority, women think less, women are not confident, and to actually have this session, which is like really, does that like really exist? It's like such a mind-opening thing. But let's
Thank
hear it from
Okay, so
Sebi. Guys, we will continue for another 7 minutes
yeah,
until we stop the live, but go ahead, let's continue.
yeah,
Go ahead,
see,
Sebi.
we do discuss about a lot of things like okay, gym workouts and many other things. I have two things to put up. One thing, even if you are in gym, activities, music, and everything, if a person is in depression or if he's in a mental distraction, once he is back from that particular group, once he is back, in my point, if you are in a depression, anyone is here in a depression or a mental health gone through it, you will be back in the shell within a minute. Okay, because yeah, because I don't think that will be a remedy. That will be a relaxation for the time being. Okay, that's my one point to put. And the second thing, see, if you are seeing we are business people or people who are employed and my profile to have a seeking for consultation, online virtual consultation and all. We are speaking about Dubai, where the upper class people or people from Kerala, for example, for people from my side, Malappuram, Calicut, many places here, people are working as 1,708 with accommodation, something like that. Some of them having proper salary or 6 months, 7 months salary deniers, and they are staying with roommates. Okay, sometimes if for men who is staying in roommate and not joining in the drinking alcohol or the club, which is happening in the rooms mostly, there will be also okay. They can't open up to family because they are in a different place and family is thinking okay, my son or my daughter, is in the safe place and they are doing and they are working it out for the family. So what can we do for them or what like the 30 days fitness program, that is the one nice thing because it is in the park so that everyone can go. So a lot of activities should be planned like that to engage them, more free programs, more entertainment section or something like that, more interactive section, because networking and all, these people won't come, right? They will not be going for motivation classes also. So how we can handle them is one thing. And the second thing, uh, coming out of depression, so what all things, see, activities, I agree with one question, but I think it's a process which we have to find by seeking help of others also. But it more remedy should be there. I think more points should be put on that. Okay, that's my point. Yeah, and handing over to you.
Thank you, Sebi. You have made very important
Go ahead.
points. I'll quickly touch base on both actually. First, it has been on my mind for quite some time now to do a virtual group therapy session for people for either because they can't pay a lot of fee. The average consultation fee in Dubai for psychologist is ranging somewhere from 400 to 700 dirhams per session. This becomes slightly difficult for people with of certain economic background. So from that perspective and from the perspective that a lot of expatriate men are in shared accommodation, one thing that I wanted to do for a very long time, and perhaps Sebi, you can help me with that, is to start a virtual platform where for a very small fee in comparison to a full session, people can join a group therapy session. Right? Now, what happens in group therapy session, we can give a choice for them to change the name, be anonymous, open their cameras, not open their cameras, but they get a voice, right? And then we can apply group therapy tools to give them some help. The second question is about serious mental health concerns like depression. In those cases, you have to take psychotherapy and sometimes along with pharmacotherapy, which basically means medication. So if somebody is having a major depressive disorder or acute anxiety or any serious mental health concern, the first step would be to see a mental health professional, let them do a diagnostic tool and understand what is the intensity and the kind of mental health issue that one is dealing with, and then do a treatment plan. In that treatment plan, often we start with talk therapy and other kind of therapies. And if that is not working out, then psychologists refer to psychiatrist, and then psychiatrists can then further on do the prescribe medications or do other kind of treatments. If we advocate enough, we can actually have mental health covered in insurance. Now, more insurances have started to cover mental health as part of their offering, but still not enough, and we need more awareness about it. So that's another way to go. So if it is covered by insurance, then more and more people can take help.
Brilliant. So with that, I want to officially call our meeting to an end, and thank you all for attending. Thank you, Anamika. That was such a mind-opening and a brilliant session. I think we all agree that this is a lot of spoken, unspoken topic. It's a very, very spoken, unspoken topic. It's a quiet, sensitive thing which needs to come more and more on the surface. It needs to really come more and more out, and people need to have more acceptance and more openness, just like in the West. Asia needs to open up because it's not just for men, it could also be for women. And we're just being more vocal and more acceptable about it. So with that note, thank you so much. And please, one more time, everyone, fill your introductions in the link. And once you do, we will have everyone's coordinate and we will share it shortly in the group.
Thank you, Olivia. And thank you, everybody, for attending the session. If I may please request, if any of you would like for this to become a virtual session at your workplaces, please let's use the month of November to create awareness about men's mental health. So I need your support with that. For now, for awareness sessions, I'm not charging anything, but I really want to give a voice to men's mental health. That's the purpose of this. Thank you.
Excellent. Great. So guys, if you all want to connect with her on a one-on-one, you can put Anamika and your name in the chat. You say Anamika first and your name in the chat, and then she will reach out to you. So if anyone want to connect with her or have some ideas how she can create this group that she's asking for, let's give her those references. Again, it need not be you. It could be anyone in your circle. It could be anyone in your phone book that she could potentially collaborate with. So for this mindful sharing, let's share some references or contacts with her like we do in Global Entrepreneur Network. So Anamika, you have Lata already who's reached out to connect with you later on a one-on-one.
Sure.
We also have Waleed. So I will share their contacts in the sheet that we will have on the WhatsApp group. So you will have their contacts as well. So
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, Gaurav?
Yeah, I'm saying that in our WhatsApp group, I have created another channel. It's called Cafe, where we have conversations through the week. And this month, we can make it November. We can have Anamika there. If people want to ask something, discuss something, get in touch with her personally, all that can happen in the cafe. And by the way, we also have our LinkedIn page. We will have conversations around mental health this month. Let's make November something that raises awareness and brings solution, even if it's preliminary, to our members and others. Thank you once again, Anamika.
Thank you very much. Okay, great.